All right, let's get started. Hey, how are you? Hey. First of all, I want to thank my lovely assistant, Jorge, the giraffe. So thank you, Jorge. And of course, Sophia. And after that, all I can say, oh, there we go. All I can say is, Henny! Henny! One more time. Henny! Okay, one more time, so loud that the people next door wonder what they're missing out on. Ready? Henny! Henny! Yeah, T-Koch, thank you. So greetings and thank you. Thank you for playing along and thank you for coming to the talk. I know it's hard to spend a hot day right after lunch sitting in a hot room listening to the most interesting guy in the world. But still, I appreciate you coming out. So thank you so much. Thank you for playing along. As you might have guessed, this was an exercise to get you to speak what I assume is your first word in Tunica, and hopefully not your last word. So we'll see if we can get you to say a couple more things. So if you are like this guy, you're probably asking yourself, what is Tunica? Well, if you are this guy, you're also asking, why are socks so complicated? Shouldn't they come with instructions? And, oh my God, where did this rash come from, and why is it spreading so quickly? To which I say, I only have so much time. So I want to spend the time we have talking about how I learned about all things Tunica, a little history of the Tunica people. We'll talk about how the language is coming back and where it went. And we'll give some examples of vocabulary, grammar, and other features about the language, because that's kind of what we're all here for, right? Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, but first I want to talk about something very, very important to me, very near and dear to my heart. I'd like to talk about me. So my name is Dave Prine. For those of you who were here last year, you might have sat in on my talk about Maya Quiche, minoritized language in Guatemala. Here's a picture of me to refresh your memory. I assure you I look nothing like that anymore. So I'd like to share a little something about me. Like most of you, I like red underwear. Right? We're friends, we're sharing, we're buddies, right? Right? Yeah, you get it, yeah, you get that. So anyway, just thought I'd share. So another thing about me is that I love languages, come on. So the only problem is I love coming to these polyglot events, but I will never be a polyglot. I refer to myself as a flexiglot or a quasiglot. And my language levels are always changing, but they're very low. And generally, they never go past an A1 level. In fact, I am so stuck at A1 that you can call me steak sauce. Hey! But because of this, because of my love for studying how languages work more than using them for proficiency levels, I am now shifting to linguistics. So I'm in grad school at University of Virginia. I'm working on a degree in linguistics so I can work with endangered languages. And a lot of this comes from attending endangered language conferences. And I used to be just a fanboy, and now I'm hoping to make it my profession. So one of the first conferences I went to was about Native American languages. And it was there was a presentation that I saw listed, and it said, "When animals become human, Tunica noun gender in the revitalization process." And I thought to myself, okay, here's a language I've never heard of, and it's being revitalized, so this is right up my alley. So I went to the talk, and like most talks for endangered languages, it involved some linguist who worked with, what we say the last speaker, the final speaker, something really depressing like that, and then they created this volume of transcriptions. Thank you. And this book went into a library, and I thought, oh, okay, this is all new to me. So I didn't really get connected with it. What really attracted me in the talk was that they had a children's book in the language. They used some of the text from the final speaker and created stuff at a level that I could read. And I thought, who doesn't want an endangered language children's book for their library? If you like collecting things like that, maybe I'll bring a bunch for the next book corner. So see you next year. So a year later, I ran into the same people who gave that talk, and their advisor. Her name is Dr. Judith Maxwell, and she is at Tulane University. And I found out that Tulane University had been working on a project. Had been invited to work on saving Tunica, bringing it back. It had died 60 years ago with the final speaker. And so there was a revitalization project, and the tribe actually came to Tulane University in 2010 and said, hey, will you help us bring back our language? We've been using these texts for tribal purposes, but really just nothing really external, nothing comprehensive, and we don't really get everything. So will you help us? So in 2010, they started the Tunica-Tulane Revitalization Project, and I thought this is great. This is great. As a fanboy, I want to do something to get involved, and they said, well, we could use some help. So they told me, okay, well, we got some data. We've got the a little bit of something from the 1800s from Albert Gaffett. He is the first linguist to actually record any of the Tunica language, and he called it Tunica. We'll talk about that shortly. And then there's also John Swanton, who took some of that data and built on it. And then finally there was Mary Haas, and she's like the big kahuna of Tunica texts and Tunica language documentation. And she came up with a huge book, and that's the cover of the book. It's several hundred pages long, filled with Tunica transcriptions from the 1930s and 1940s. This is Uchigant Sosestri. He is the last speaker. He died about 60 years ago, and kind of took the language with him. So we don't have any recordings. There are some wax recordings that are unusable. There are some recordings on tin that are rumored to exist, but no one's seen them. Have you seen them, Simon? No? Okay. I do. Give me a call. Okay. So anyway, so they gave me the book. They said, here's this honking big book of Tunica text. Would you take the old transcriptions and change them up for us, rewrite them? And I did. So I would take it paragraph by paragraph, and that's what the old transcription would look like. And then I converted it to a less clunky orthography. And it's still kind of a mess because all the words are long. We don't know what stuff means, but at least I didn't. And we still had to standardize things. But the beauty of this is that it's digital. It's searchable. You can cut and paste it. You can do computer analysis with it. You can text it to your friends. So they were really happy. And they said, thank you so much. I said, yeah, you're welcome. That was fun. Let's do it again sometime. I went on to other things and other fanboy conferences, and they went on to do their magic. And what happened next was pretty cool, but we'll come back to that in a sec. So in the meantime, let's just give you a little information about the Tunica. The first written record we have is in about 1541, when Hernando de Soto, a Spanish explorer, went exploring and ended up in a little part of town in the US called Keys. And he documented a little bit about meeting the Tunica. I think he called them the Tonicos. Don't quote me on that. About a century later, we have some more history of the Tunica. They had moved a little bit south from Keys down to, say it with me, Yahoo! Okay, we'll edit that out. So, and where they met up with French missionaries, and so a little bit of their language, a little bit of French kind of seeped into the Tunica language. So you may see cognates. It's not a surprise, it's actually very possible. So, eventually the Tunica kind of the Tunica moved further south and ended up in Marksville, Louisiana, where they are today. And they are effectively now the recognized Tunica-Biloxi tribe of Louisiana. And the reason that they're Tunica-Biloxi is because, through travel and through time, they lost many numbers due to, colonization, disease, everything else that kind of affects the Native Americans. And they intermarried with Biloxi tribe. And unfortunately, we don't have any real text for Biloxi anymore, so we're a little sad about that. And that's why, even though it's a Tunica-Biloxi tribe, we're only talking about Tunica. There's a great book that just came out late last year. It's the Tunica-Biloxi Tribe, Its Culture and People. It's got a lot of history. I've been reading this thing. It's wonderful. It's an easy read, very informative. If you're interested, I'll tell you where to get it. And in it, there's a really, really touching thought. Today, the Tunicas are thoroughly acculturated to the prevailing American lifestyle and have lost a considerable amount of their Aboriginal material culture and their mental culture, including their language. So that's not uncommon at all. And so this made me really excited to have been part of this. So just last year, I made contact with Maxwell, and she said, "Oh, Dave, yeah, Tunica's up and running. We got people putting it together. We have a grammar. We got people speaking it. We have something called the Kohpani, Yoyani, Luchi, Yoroni." Totally. Kind of just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? So, and that stands for Tunica Language Working Group. Online twice a week, and sometimes I get to sit in and participate on a little Google chat, and they talk about grammar and publishing and teaching and everything, and they are doing a number of wonderful things. They are doing a textbook that they're actually they've edited. I've helped collaborate on it, and we're submitting it for publication later this year. They've also got an online dictionary and through Summer Institute of Linguistics. And they even have a Tumblr page, which is kind of cool. So if you look at Tunica Tumblr, you'll find a couple memes. And they also have a language immersion camp. They have a big one in the summer for the kids, and they have a smaller one for kids and adults and and anything else. And I got to go to the one in January. This past January, I got to go to Marksville, Louisiana, and I'll show you a couple of pictures here. Here are, in the middle is Donna Pierwright. She is a tribal member who was using the text in the 80s with her family and with the tribe. And she's been instrumental with getting all of this together. On the left is her daughter, Elizabeth Mora, and on the right is John Barbary. He is the program director for the Language Revitalization program, and they've just been doing wonderful things. So I got here they are with opening with a drum song, tribal song. This is Dr. Patricia Anderson. She's one of the first people I met who got me involved with this, and here she is showing emotions. I think that's akapecia, but we'll talk about that shortly. And then what else we got here? We have here is Dr. Judith Maxwell. Who says linguists can't have fun? Hey, so. And there's Patricia Anderson on the left. And then what else we got here? We have. Oh yes, we have Andrew and I'm sorry, I can't think of her name, but we were doing bugs that day. And so they're crawling around on the floor. She has a backpack because Tyler has a backpack and she is a snail. And then Andrew has something inflatable with appendages, and so those are like little creepy crawly legs. So we're doing like improv things and just really making things up as we go. But I learned a lot about it and about what they do. Oh, there's Andrew as a colorful bug. So I don't know if you'd like me showing pictures of him crawling around on the floor, but he ain't here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the language. So Tunica is an SOV language, and most of you probably, does anyone know SOV, OSV, VOS? Yeah, pretty much. Basically, in this context, subject comes first, the object, if there is one, comes second, and then after that, there's a verb at the end. And with Tunica, often the subject and object can be eliminated. So sometimes it's just a verb. Sometimes that's all you get, And so it could be like, he touched her, and it's all one word. And the he and the her are all implied, and it's friendly, so it's safe. It's a little more complicated when you get other things, and again, sometimes you just have a verb, but you can have a lot of other things in there. Word order is important because it determines who does what. It's very similar to English. So now it's also a language isolate. We don't have any information about any other languages that are related to Tunica, so we have nothing to compare it to, nothing to extrapolate. It's basically on its own, like Yuchi, Basque. I think Korean. Is Korean an isolate still? Anyone? No? Okay. Good for you, Korean. So anyway, there's very little to go on other than what we have for Tunica. So now, let's talk about the phonetic inventory and orthography, or as I like to call it, sounds and the letters used to represent them. So we'll talk about that. Vowels are pretty easy. If you speak English, does anyone not speak English? Good, okay, you're sharp. If you speak English, if you know English, then the vowels aren't going to be anything new. And these vowels here, there's seven vowels. These 5 are similar to Spanish. So a, e, I, o, u. And we have those in English as well. There are two other vowels that are common in English. The symbols might look a little weird to you. So we have epsilon, which is a short E as in bed, head, dead, lead, right? Said Fred? And then we also have open O, which is just like law, thought, caught, maw. Do we want to practice that one? Yeah, let's practice that one. Ready? Oh, oh, oh. You guys are good. Thank you. All right. Okay, now one thing about vowels I'll tell you is that vowels don't like to be next to each other. When two vowels are next to each other, they tend to change. They either change into one vowel, they change into a different vowel. There are odd rules, we don't fully understand that. And I should mention that Tunica is still evolving. We're still figuring it out, but the linguists are still trying to figure out what the rules are and what the consistencies and inconsistencies are and trying to explain everything. So we don't know the whys of everything, but we're learning. So vowel blending is when two vowels come together and they fuse into one. And a couple instances are things like A plus A, it just shortens to an A. So if you have two A's that come together, it's an A. I plus A is an epsilon. Don't know why, but it is. U plus A is open O, and I plus E is E. And we'll see a couple of cases of this and see why it matters. So the consonants are, again, just like English. There aren't any really weird sounds or anything unique or characteristic of Tunica. So if you want to learn it, it'll be easy for you. All the consonants above are the same. We do have two clusters, CH as in church, and then SH as in sheep. And you'll never see a C by itself. The C doesn't exist in Tunica, and with K and S, it's kind of covered. So now we have one letter. You're familiar with this, maybe. It's a glottal stop. Anyone know what a glottal stop is? Come across it before? You all are from Hawaii. Okay, great. So glottal stop is basically just when your throat closes and stops air. So it's not a real sound, it is a consonant because, by definition, it blocks air. So we see it, of course, in uh-oh, and for those of you who like to sound cool and say Hawaii. And we also see it in, oh, hey, song time! Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm he had glottal stops, E-I-E-I-O. Give yourselves a round of applause. You remember that? Yeah. You'll do anything. Okay, so now here's a neat feature of consonants, or consonant H. In English, we have aspirations. I have many aspirations, like finishing this soon. But we also have like a difference between the P in spit and the P in pit. The P in pit is aspirated, there's more air, and the P in spit is less aspirated. In some languages, I think Hindi, there's a differentiation. So if you say, I think bal, that means bal without the aspiration is hair, and then hal is forehead. And so in Tunica, we have a pre-aspirated H. This comes before a consonant. So in certain consonants like K, T, CH, and P, you have a H. And you might have noticed this in tikach. Thank you. It's actually pronounced, and this is so hard for me, but tikach. Try it. Tikach. Now you're resistant because I mocked you last time. Okay, but tikach. So it's hard. It's hard for English speakers to come up with that H, but it's very common. And the important thing is that that letter actually makes a difference. So if you say a word with it and a word without, it's going to be a different thing. So saku is to eat, and saku is the number one. So, and then, oh, did I mention that U is sometimes devoiced either at the end of a word or after certain consonants? No, I'm glad I reminded myself that I forgot that. So let's look at those examples we saw. So again, saku, to eat. So usually you can just say sak, which I have trouble putting on. Also, you can say saku or sak, or kosu or kos. And it still exists. It's just voiceless. You still go saku. That's an exaggeration, but it's like anyone here speak Japanese? All right, great. Jana Fadness is in the back. So you also have devoiced used in Japanese, correct? Okay. I like how I'm telling her something she already knows and need her to confirm it for me. So we're one happy community. Okay, so everyone knows about person and number, but I'll run through it quickly. In English and in most languages, we have person and number. Person is either first person, the one speaking, or includes the one speaking. Second person is the ones being spoken to. And third person is the person or people being spoken about. And we also have number. So sometimes it can be I, or it can be plural, we. So singular, one, or plural, two or more. The only real issue with gender, at least with pronouns, is that he, she, and it. So sometimes gender is kind of there, but it's not really that important. It's not important with verbs. It's not really important with adjectives in English. However, things get a little funky when we go to Tunica. So we have person, number, and gender. So there's an extra number. There's dual. So we have singular, dual, which is two, and then plural is three or more. And then with gender, we have he, she, or it, but also we have the plurals they, two, or they all, and it's also divided into gender. So if I'm talking about someone, or if I'm talking to someone, and I have to know what gender they are, and specifically what number they are. If I said, you know, I had, you know, they, when I'm talking about you guys, I can say, oh, they came to my talk. And it doesn't really mean anything because it could mean two people, or it could mean three or more. So there are distinctions that we don't have in English. So I'm so glad I didn't have just two people come. So, yeah. All right. Hypnotized. Okay. Oh, one other thing about gender is that when you're talking about someone in Tunica, you have to give an ending to their name, which is something that we don't have anywhere else that I've seen. So I really like that part. And I also find it very unusual because you'll find it on endings of names, but you don't. I don't have to know the gender of someone. Or, excuse me, I don't have to tack on the gender if I'm talking to you or you or you or you or you. But if I'm talking to you about her, I have to say Kamichi really enjoyed my talk. Yeah, okay. I can say Rick-ku showed up and I made me sad. So. Anyway, these are just examples. I really don't hate Rick much. Okay, so when we talk about nouns, nouns have, you know, usual features in most of the languages that we've kind of come across, but I'll talk about the main ones. First of all, we have gender. And when we talk about gender, there are really two types. There's biological gender, you know, are you male or female, boy or girl, father, mother, sister, brother, and so on. And they get a certain treatment. With nouns, like English doesn't have it, but say German. Say you speak German. Say it. Say you speak German. Thank you. So German has, you know, something where the table is masculine, the bikini is masculine, the girl, das Mädchen, is neuter. Right? So there's no real biological gender going on. All grammatical gender is strictly categories to, you know, lump nouns together with similar features, or it's purely arbitrary. I don't know, blame for that. So Tunica nouns do have gender. Well, I'll talk about gender with inanimate objects in a bit, but most Tunica nouns will have gender, usually masculine in the singular and dual, and feminine in the plural. We don't know why. So we also have animacy versus inanimacy. So animate nouns are living things, and that's divided into humans versus animals. And then we have inanimate objects, which are, you know, chairs and, you know, pens and, you know, those things. Okay. And the one other feature I want to talk about is alienability versus inalienability. And that means that alienability is something that is foreign. There's no, actually, let's talk about inalienable nouns. There's an undeniable relationship. If you own something that is inalienable, that is yours forever. And it usually applies to family members, some clothing things, because they fit so closely to your body, like pants that really fit you. So, and then there's also, oh yes, so family members would be like gachi. See how gachi has a little dash before it? It means that there's got to be a prefix. You cannot have gachi standing on its own. You cannot say mother, like, oh look, there's a mother. You have to say my mother or your mother. We're picking up clothes. Se, same thing. Eti, friend. You can't just have a friend. It has to be your friend or someone's friend. So inalienable possessive prefixes, They just go on the front of the word. And again, they follow that paradigm from earlier about number, gender, and person. And so, for example, my mother is E, gachi, E is my, for inalienable nouns, gachi is mother. There you go. If it were our mother, like say we had a mother together, it would be in gachi, our, in, gachi, mother. And my friend would be E eti, except, remember, vowels don't like to sit next to each other. So I plus E just ends up turning into E, that I just disappears. So my friend would be eti, without the dash. Okay, alienable nouns, a little bit different again. Could be just random objects, things you don't have a connection to. Could be animals, could be shoes, whatever you want, or not shoes, but it could be a number of things, and they can stand alone. So sa is dog. I don't have to qualify it with my dog or your dog. Same thing with color, kosu. And this takes on a different set of possessive prefixes. So same thing. So this time it's ich for my, and then sa would be dog. Is his, and wishi yumoku is wishi moku. That hurts so much. So now these will be important later on. You'll see these again, I swear. I swear to God you will. Okay, so let's talk about aspects of syntactic typology covering antipassives, causatives, and or relative clauses using valence changing head markers displaying split ergativity alignment on Thursdays, okay? Now this was highly recommended, or highly suggested, so I wanted to talk about this. Oh, it's social time! Oh, great, okay, let's time to meet your neighbor. All right, let's have a little back and forth. Find someone you like, find two people you like, take turns, and then just take a turn. No, and we'll start it out. I'll say, okay. See, so I'll start. You want to start? No, I'll start. Okay, so I start with etimalapu, which means, my friend, are you good? And then my friend will say lapu, and if he wants to thank me, he can say tikach. And then if he wants to turn it around, then he will just start again and say etimalapu, my friend, are you good? And then lapu, tikach. So let's try it, and then I'll give you about 30 seconds to do it. So, hey, Jorge, etimalapu. Lapu, tikach. Etimalapu? Lapu, tikach. All right, you do it. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds. Etimalapu. Lapu, tikach. Lapu, tikach. Oh, no. Lapu, tikach. Etimalapu. Tikach. Hey, hi, etimalapu. All right, tikach, all right. Etimalapu. All right, thank you. Tikach. All right, that was pretty fun. I like that. Thank you. Tikach. Thank you. How does it feel to be fluent now in Tunica? All right, thank you. All right, let's see what else we got. I think we're going to talk about, oh yeah, verbs, the meat of the language. So, okay, verbs are, there are a lot of them, a lot of different things to know about the verbs. I'm only going to go over a few types of verbs in Tunica, just to give you an idea of how the language is put together. Now there are class 1 verbs, class 2 verbs, transitive, intransitives, inchoatives. What the hell is an inchoative? I don't know. So we'll just do a few for now and wet your whistle. So, okay, so intransitive verbs, really easy. Only have a subject, no object. So, like I walk, I dance, I sleep, I eat. And of course, eat is a tricky one because it's both intransitive and transitive, but that's the beauty of it. So we'll see I eat a lot, or we'll see the verb to eat. So, here are the suffixes. Now, for intransitive verbs, the person gets tacked on as a suffix. Or, yeah, excuse me, as a suffix. So, for example, the first person singular, that is I, if I'm doing something, then I tack on kani to the end of a verb. If it's you and you're female, like you, I would tack on ka. If you're masculine, second person, you would be ki, very good, okay. And then, of course, third person, so if I'm talking to you about her, it would be kati. If I'm talking to you about him, it would be ku, exactly. So let's just see a couple examples here. We'll start with pita, to walk. So pita kani. So, and then saku would be, if I were eating saku kani, if you were eating, it would be saku ki, and so on. So let's see a few examples. Here we go. Pitakani, I walk, I'm walking. Saku ki, you eat. And then if she dances, who dances here? Who dances here and is female? Okay, we'll pick you. So I would say, hey, hippukati. Wait, what's your name? Jennifer. So I would say, Jennifer chi hippukati. Jennifer is dancing. Thank you. Okay, so transitive verbs, kind of the same thing, except you have a subject and an object. For the subject, same thing, you get the subject suffix. Say that 10 times fast. And then, well, we'll come to that. For the object, that will get tacked onto the front. And so you have something being done to something. So for example, Rikku, haka sakuku. Rick is eating corn. And it gets a lot worse, but trust me, it's not intentional. So Rick is the subject, corn is the object, and saku is the infinitive, and then ku, of course, is the third person, masculine, singular suffix. Whew. Okay, let's look at another. If the object is if the object is inanimate, then you often don't need that object prefix. Because it's indicated in the sentence. If you're talking about a person, it gets a little trickier. So for example, and I apologize for this, so if the object is animate, you bet there's an object prefix. And I'll give an example that is, it's consistent with our other examples. It's just a sample example. It doesn't mean anything. But so, Rick Tayukini, and then only one of the few words I could find that was like sort of a neutral person was a chef. So Riku, Rick, Tayukini, chef, something sakuku. Well, you go. Are you available? So anyway, we have to put some kind of object prefix in front of that verb. So here are the alienable possessive prefixes. Remember those? Remember those? We saw those earlier? For owning things that aren't really that connected with you? Well, check this out. They are the exact same things as the transitive verb object prefixes. So in this case, if Rick is eating a chef, if he's eating a male chef, it's Riku Tayukini Uk Sakuku. If the chef were female, it would also take on a different object prefix. So Rick is eating a chef that's female is Riku Tayukini Tik Sakuku. Now let's see. Here we go. Yeah, let's change that to something a little more appropriate. I was basically using saku because we've seen it as intransitive, transitive, with an inanimate object and now an animate object. So I just wanted consistency. Thanks for being a great sport. So Rick is now hugging a chef, and she's feminine. So Riku Tayukini Tik Meru Ku. Well done, Rick. But she didn't give him permission, and she called the police. Okay. Oh, and if we wanted to leave out the subject and object and just use pronouns that are implied, we would just say tik meruku. So it's the same verb with the same prefixes and suffixes, just without the names of the people. All the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Okay. Now, stative verbs are a little bit different. They describe conditions. They describe states, physical, mental, emotional states. And they're hungry, thirsty, cold, ashamed, lonely. You could be angry, yashi. You could like something, which is elu, and you can be happy, which is shepa. So, and if you'll notice, I gave examples for the last three because we might see them again. And like inalienable nouns, they have to have something tacked onto them. They don't just stand by themselves. And what happens is that, hey, do you remember the alienable possessive suffixes? Anyone remember those that we saw before? Thank you. We saw them before, and they were the object prefixes. Well, now they are the stative verb subject prefixes. So these words that we saw before that get tacked on to the end of a transitive verb now get tacked on in the same place, but now they indicate the subject. And so in this case, I am happy is just ik, I, and then shepa, so ik shepa. And now there are also Tishlina verbs, which are kind of like stative verbs. The only difference is that there is a subject who is implied. It's the stone witch. She's in the lore for Tunica. And she does things. So she creates involuntary actions. So, for example, say it smells in here. Just just hypothetically. And if you wanted to say it smells in here, you don't. What is the it? What is the it that smells? Like, is it the air? Is it the room? Well, it's just sort of this impersonal this impersonal thing. And it's kind of like saying it's raining or it's dark. There is no impersonal. So anyway, so Tishlina, she's the stone witch. She's the one causing these things. There actually is a source. So in this case, it stinks. We would say nama and then kati, the third person feminine subject suffix. Oh, wow. And it literally means namakati. It stinks. It literally means she is stinking it up, or she is making it stink. So same thing with being woken up. So ich is I, hiu is to wake up, and kati, which is the stone witch, is just she is waking me up. That is literally what it means. So yes, no questions. I'll sort of run through this. We're running out of time, and I want to show you a million other things. There are yes, no questions. You just tack on an N to the final word in the sentence. So, saku kanin, am I eating? Sakukati. Or sakukani. Pitakun, is he walking? You would say pitakun. And yes is hon, no is aha. And check out there again. So if you say yes, you say hon, pitakani. If you say no, aha, ikshep eha, you just tack the aha on the end. And that is because aha can also mean not. So let's see, negations. More negations, it's basically just another example of vowel blending, but I'll zip through that. If you want to see more of this later on, you can. Here's what I want to show you. There are still new words being formed, and it's a very vibrant language, and so let's try a few real quickly. So if you have muki, which is cloud, and wista is sweet, you have muki wista, which is? Close. That's actually good. It is marshmallow. But yeah, no, that's great. Okay. So next one is wishi, which is water, and torahta, bitter, equals wishi torahta, which is? Oh, actually, both are good, but it is beer. Okay. And the last one is osin talu, which is brain. Ta is a one who does, and saku, as we've seen, is to eat. We have osin talu ta saku is? Oh, that's all right, excellent. So yeah, so we can make modern words with Tunica words that have existed way before. Okay, so closing remarks, I just wanted to say to all of you, tirahalu mili ich kelu, which is Tunica for, I like red underwear. And you should kind of recognize this. So, but I also want to thank the KYLY group. They've been great, and they've done so much wonderful work with getting this together and really bringing the language back. And it's got a lot more work to go, but it's still just, I mean, they've come so far, and I've been very happy to be a part of this. And I also want to thank you. So. I appreciate you coming to my talk, and I'm very grateful that you all have come here because it's not easy. It's a distance, and it's also intimidation. I mean, anything with the word polyglot in it is a little daunting. But I'm glad you guys are here because you've learned that it is not a competition. It is not about how many languages you speak. It's about how many languages you love. So thank you so much, and hita, bye bye. See you later. Oh, hello. Hi.
And first question, if you talk to a group above men and women, which pronoun do you use? Masculine or feminine?
Oh, that's good. I forgot to mention that if you have a mixed group, it is mixed plural group, which I don't think you have a mixed singular group. Mixed plural would be, you would use the male, kind of like Spanish. So it's like that. It's heavily biased in that direction, yeah.
What if the eaten chef is dead and cut to pieces? Animate or inanimate?
Do you want to help me bury a body later today? That's a good question. That's a good question. Is it 2 pieces or 6? Because if it's 6 pieces, then you take it to a pig farm. Watch the movie Snatch. I just learned about this. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not really aware of what their view of living versus non-living, if it was at one time, if it loses all animacy. I don't know. That's a good. I'll find out for you, and I'll mail you the answer. Good question. Thank you.
Maybe some questions from audience? Because
what's that? Okay.
That's all.
Okay, great. Anything else? Yeah, you, sir. Okay.
Could you tell us a bit more about the sounds of the language then? You said the recordings can't be listened to because they're on old wax discs or whatever. So what are they doing with, how have they discovered how the language should sound, or is it just guesswork basically?
My understanding is that Mary Haas, she did this large, there's the Boasian trilogy, which I've learned is a dictionary, a grammar, and texts galore. And so the book that I worked with was text, just stories being told multiple times. And there's also I guess a grammar book that Mary Haas wrote. And she does outline the sounds. She kind of puts them in sort of a faux IPA chart, and that is what I believe the sounds were taken from. But unfortunately, yeah, we don't have any original records or any original, like, true recordings, so they're just kind of doing their best guess from what I know. But I think they were given a lot of information to show that this was actually fairly accurate. But then again, there is colonialization and mixing of tribes and mixing with the Europeans, so I'm sure some sounds got diluted. Some grammar did change, some verbs kind of changed roles and purposes when shifting with other languages. Our last speaker, Yuchigat Sosostri, there was something written where he says like some verbs have changed, or he is using verbs in a different way. So the records are very limited, but from what I understand, we have a good foundation to at least have a best guess. So thank you. Okay, Calvin. That's a good question, and that was something that I was very concerned about. The question was, is there any effort to work with gender-neutral pronouns and whatnot? I don't know any specifics, and I would like to talk to them about that. Right now, I think what they're doing is just taking what they have and getting the language down. And I think really either actively through linguists or just actively through the people who are speaking it, I think change will come. But I think right now it's so early, it's not even a complete language yet. But I would like to think that they would have something neutral, or that, one of the things that I'm familiar with is that, people, who don't want to be either pronoun can be a they. Like, they is the term. And I believe, is that still like the best term, or is it not anymore? Yeah. There isn't. I mean, you could do the male/mixed they, and that corresponds best with English. But yeah, I mean, there's no direct parallel, and of course, I mean, everything that we have is from decades ago, so it hasn't really caught up. But I'd like to think that eventually it will grow, it will evolve into a living, breathing language that will then address those things. But I think right now it's too early to say. Okay, Simon.
Yeah. Is there anybody who actually speaks the language fluently yet?
I'm sorry?
Is there anybody who speaks the language fluently yet?
No, I don't believe so, again, because the language is still in flux, and the linguists are still trying to determine certain grammar rules and phonology and morphology and all. So it's still coming together. They're working on an online dictionary. It's in a rough draft, and the tribal members will be reviewing it soon. And I think after that, then the ball will get rolling, and people will start doing it. They'll do more language immersion camps, and they really want to get this up and running. And I think it's great. I'd like to be one of them. So maybe next year I'll be speaking fluently.
It will be the last question.
Okay.
Okay, it's a short addition to the last question.
Okay.
Do you think it's possible to recover the language again?
No, it's not. I don't think we'll be able to totally recover it, because I think a lot has been lost, and I think we have to fill in the gaps. It's kind of like Jurassic Park. Who saw Jurassic Park, the original one? Right. So they found dinosaur DNA in mosquitoes that were embedded in amber, but they had gaps in the DNA, so they just put frog DNA in there, and then a whole bunch of people died. So I think they're doing the same thing. It's like, well, we don't know what, like, Ikshepa is happy. And they didn't know what sad was. So they made up sad, and they reversed the consonant. So Ikshepa is happy, and Ikpesha is sad. So they just reverse it. So they are making up things that aren't truly part of the language, but it is going to be part of Tunica 2.0. So, but yeah, so I think that they're doing a great job. They'll get most of it, but they have to fill in some gaps. And he just had one question, and he's been such a great sport. Yeah. Rick Dearman, everyone. Rick Dearman.
Thank you. I just wondered how long is this actually? How long have they actually been working on this? When I didn't catch when you said they started.
Oh, they've been kind of using the language a little bit in the 80s, and I think in the 70s, just within the tribe. But they went to Tulane University and wanted to make it a big project in 2010. So, and then I met the two grad students, Raina Heaton and Patricia Anderson, in early 2012, and that's when I started learning about it. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great time. We'll see you later. Thank you.